here at the heart of America, there's this amazing, strong, vibrant, vital oral tradition of old-time and bluegrass music, and people completely and utterly dedicated to maintaining that music.
Junior Appalachian Musicians was founded about 20 years ago by a lady named Helen White, who was a friend of mine.
I knew the founder of JAM, Helen White, since I was born, probably.
2005, I was hired as the first executive director of the Crooked Road. Helen had already started JAM in Sparta, but there was a real effort throughout the region. There was a realization that we were losing the music, and we were losing the cohesiveness in community.
I got into JAM with Helen White in 2007, and I started teaching singing, which was a nice opportunity out in Sparta.
Helen came down, she came down and talked with us, and so we just got it rolling.
Betty, so she was my librarian, and she found Helen's program somehow just in Virginia, and she brought it back to my school.
And the way I got to be director was by talking to Helen White, who is our role model.
In the end, I believe that she really did know what kind of impact she made with this.
So I've asked many people here, are you concerned about the future of this tradition?
Well, each year I see new young fiddlers, new faces.
I grew up in this music, and I don't see it at risk of going away in the least.
JAM is in perfect position to keep these traditions vital. When I was an early teenager and I started playing traditional music, there were just a handful of people around my age group. And now, there are usually more youth contestants at a fiddler's convention than adults.
I feel like it'll be here, long after I'm gone. So I'm trying to keep that Jenkins tradition alive,
It's amazing to hear that you're not worried about the sustainability of the music, because I hardly ever hear that anywhere.
Do you see it building and building, or it is?
Yes.
That's wonderful.
There, a lot of kids are really wanting to, get out there and start playing music in bands.
What JAM has done is to create an entire new generation of, say, under 30s who understand that this is really an oral tradition which is about community and about seeing each other eye to eye. What I'm seeing here is that there's a one-to-one connection with the previous generation, an understanding of where the music comes from. And because of that, it's vibrant.
We're very intent on encouraging all of our programs and communities to be very locally driven. Our first recommendation is always to go straight to the people in your community, to those folks who want to pass their traditions on the way that they learned. Maybe it's old time, maybe it's bluegrass, maybe it's more gospel, maybe it's a little bit more blues. Find those people who are teaching what has been here for years and years and years, because that's what you want to teach.
Each place has this great story and value, and if within each JAM that is a central part, because that's who the kids who are coming there are.
My family's been making music like this since early 1900s. I built my house down there on their own home place, and I still got the deed from the King of England.
This is their childhood, and this is their place. This is just a part of you and where you're from, and it's however much you want to be involved in that is enough.
The different cultures that melded into Appalachian music is something that fascinates me.
My goal is to help promote and preserve the art of fiddling. But the Cherokee fiddlers have been around for a great number of years, since the early days of the removal into Oklahoma. And it just kind of continues. And so I see a lot of younger fiddlers that are coming on and learning the art of fiddling.
I was really happy to be asked to bring more Piedmont blues culture to this, which is kind of often left out of bluegrass and old-time conversations and Appalachian traditions.
My father's side of the family is from Del Rio, Tennessee. Now that's Cott County. That's deeply Appalachia. The other side of me is Vietnamese. And I don't know, something happened with this, like this music touched something in me that I think is like blood, you know, like in my DNA.
That's a tune called John Henry that my great uncle Snuffy Jenkins taught me. My father had passed away, and he kind of just took me under his wing and kind of helped me, you know, get started playing.
So much of what I play, like this fingerstyle stuff, doesn't work well on notes on a sheet, you know, like you lose the feeling.
A lot of times I don't have the confidence that I'm trained, but now I'm telling myself I'm trained because I got trained from real ballad singers.
You know, I wore out, ain't no telling how many needles on old vinyl records, you know, just to get the one at one spot again so I could hear how it went, you know.
I learned my music in a non-classroom environment as what you would call the old-time way. Like you're either going to play well and they're going to keep letting you play, or you're not and they won't. So when you get into teaching in this organized fashion, you're immediately in a classroom setting. You're immediately not getting one-on-one with your teacher. So it's not, we can't replicate the intended thing.
What are your methods for teaching?
Yeah, it's all by ear. You do have this freedom, you know, and that we're not really tied to a super strict way of playing.
We encourage teaching by ear because that's how the music has been passed down. And to me, it's the nuance of the music is still best translated that way, teaching it by ear. A lot of it has been transcribed and so on, but I think it's best to teach it by ear.
I'm an ear person.
I don't really teach them how to play. They teach themselves how to play. I teach them how to hear.
Yeah, I think done orally, it sticks in the brain a little bit better.
Jam has definitely grown. It was up to maybe 22 programs whenever I started with the organization in 2012, and now we're pushing 60.
We've found that students learn and thrive in different ways.
And it's very approachable to have a kid that maybe shows a little bit of interest in it and then can just borrow an instrument.
Right now in our after-school program, we have 11 youth instructors.
I started teaching in jam when I had just begun high school, maybe, or at the end of middle school. So since then, I've been teaching. So probably about over 10 years.
Well, I was 10, and I was helping a whole bunch of people learn, and I guess somebody saw that and liked it.
It's definitely easier for the younger kids to be able to know where the students are coming from. The kid can really, it's awesome how creative that aspect of teaching, it can be brought in from the youngest and most inexperienced.
Just from talking to some of you folks, it's like, oh, I'm going to apply that to what I'm doing. So the Suzuki method, one thing that they try to do is develop the children as a person, not just through music. And I'm wondering if that's something that's happening in jam.
In many places where we have jam programs, it's the only music education, it's the only cultural education available.
You got to be dedicated to play this music, you know, and it builds character. And, you know, sometimes it'll humble you, too.
In order to really play together, one has to be able to hear very, very small details. One has to be very observant, persistent, right?
This type of music is supposed to be fun. This type of music, you're supposed to, like, bring it and play it with other people. You don't have to be perfect at it. You can make mistakes.
I've said often that jam is a place for kids to fit in who don't fit in anywhere else.
If we listened to one another more, how could the world be different?
And there's nothing like this where you get teachers together to talk about how to teach or improve their teaching skills by talking to other people. This is totally unique in that. I'm looking forward to learning myself.
I've got incredible confidence that things will be going well for old time and bluegrass music.
Thank you all so much for doing this. Let's see how fun music can be.